Shalom. Today I'd like to speak to you on the theme of humanity involves risk. Humanity involves risk. We all make plans, and then life happens, and things get out of hand. Then the real test begins. In an important way, this is the central story of Judaism. The main character of the Bible experiences exactly that. The main character, of course, is no human, but rather God. God creates a good world and places humans in a privileged position in that world. But within another 2 chapters, the humans disobey God and lose their paradisical childhood. One more chapter, and murder enters the world. Not long after that, God almost gives up on humanity, washes out the test tubes, and starts again with Noah. But people still prove nearly impossible to control. Then, belatedly, God turns to Abraham and begins the long-range project of guiding, not coercing, humans in the path of goodness. Thinking about the biblical account of the creation of humanity, the rabbis made a startling point, clothing it in a wonderful legend. When God set out to create humanity, the ministering angels split into camps and parties, some saying, "Let him be created," and some saying, "Let him not be created." The angel Love said, "Let the human be created, because he will dispense acts of love." The angel Truth said, "Let him not be created, because he has compounded the falsehood." The angel Righteousness said, "Let the human be created, because he will perform righteous deeds." The angel Peace said, "Let the human not be created, because he is full of strife." The story goes on, but I'm going to share with you now the sequel. A later rabbi, Rav Huna, added an addendum to the legend. While the ministering angels were disputing with one another, the Holy Blessed One created the human. Said God to the angels, "What's the point of your disputation? The human is already made." There's a pun in the Hebrew that needs to be explained. Already made is the word na'asa, nun ayin sin he. The Bible is written with consonants only, not with any vowels. The vowels are added in a later oral tradition. One of the ways in which the rabbis found added meaning in the Bible was to consider alternate ways of vocalizing the consonants of the received text. The received text has nun, ayin, sin, he, vocalized na'aseh, let us make. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Let us make a human in our image, na'aseh adam. So Rabbi Huna was saying, don't read na'aseh, read na'asa. The human is already made. The point of the legend is that humans are messy and complicated affairs, part good and part evil. God takes a risk in creating us. With people being such a blend of contraries, we are always faced with a choice. We can try to reduce the complexity of humans, or we can try to respect the complexity and nonetheless be forces for morality. God chooses the latter path. God did not create us as machines, moral, robotic automata, lacking in free will and programmed to do only good. That's not the world we live in. God has made us creatures possessing the potential for both good and evil. The freedom to choose is ours, and therefore the responsibility is ours too. Thus far, the Bible and the Rabbinic Midrash. Let's now consider a striking implication for us as Americans from this story in this political season. A 2019 study updating the, quote, authoritarianism scale, developed in 1981 by the psychologist Bob Altemeyer, has shown that a significant percentage of Americans now subscribe to authoritarian political views. They not only prefer a strong leader to disorder, many people do, but they also express a willingness to give up constitutional liberties for the sake of achieving order. There are some such people on the political left, more on the political right, and their numbers are growing. This ought to be of concern for everyone who cherishes the characteristically American constitutional approach to liberty through a series of checks and balances among the various arms of government. An authoritarian leader may get the trains to run on time, but he will make a train wreck of the civil liberties that are the pride and glory of American citizenship. But it ought to be of even greater concern to us as Jews. The same survey included questions that reveal a disturbing correlation between authoritarian leanings and anti-Jewish bigotry. Consider these two statements from the survey. People were asked to agree or disagree with those statements, agree strongly, disagree strongly, agree moderately, and so on. Statement number one. Christianity has very unjustly persecuted the Jews throughout the centuries. And statement number two. What our country really needs is a strong, determined leader who will crush evil and take us back to our true path. Now here's the frightening finding. The same people who disagree strongly with the first statement, in other words, the people who say that it is wrong to assert that Christianity has oppressed Jews throughout the century, those same people agree strongly with the second statement. What our country needs really is a strong, determined leader who will crush evil and take us back to our true path. Putting these together, this shows that the desire for a strong leader is not simply a yearning for stability in turbulent times. It is not simply a call for law and order. It is more specifically a linking of law and order with a willingness to see injustice perpetrated against the weak, the disenfranchised, the newcomer, and of course, the Jew. The desire for a strong leader correlates in a scary way with people who want to deny the history of anti-Semitism. This leads us straight to the wiki torch burning marchers at Charlottesville, chanting, "Jews will not replace us." Religiously, the biblical and rabbinic stories about the creation of humanity are connected to this piece of social psychology in an important way. Judaism teaches us that the desire to override the complexities of society by creating a strong man, a dear leader, a duce, or a pharaoh is fundamentally an exercise in idolatry. God makes us with our messy mix of attributes, giving us the capacity for conscience and compassion, along with our killer instincts. God's laws are not meant only to suppress deviance in the fashion of some dictatorial regime. God's laws are meant to cultivate the finest within us. That includes the ability to think critically about our social compact and to avoid the mistake of putting any one leader above the constraints of ethics. Authoritarians want Pharaoh in one guise or another. Judaism teaches us to be free of Pharaoh by living a life of covenant, a life in which justice, mercy, and humility are our crowning virtues. I pray that as a nation, we will find our way back to these life-enhancing priorities. Shabbat Shalom.